So you want to buy a used camera, but you don't know where to start. Hey, what's up you guys? Nick here. For those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Nick. I'm a professional photographer. I've been shooting professionally for about 3 years now, though I've had a camera in my hands for the last 16 or so. And for those of you who are joining me for another video, thank you guys again so very much. Make sure you are subscribed. So you want to buy a new to you camera. You're looking at the used camera market. And I know we've kind of discussed this a few times in my D5100 video, which I will link right there, as well as on my video on finding a good beginner's camera, and I'll link that one right there. So I kind of went over these a little bit, but we didn't really go in depth with these. So I'm going to give you 5 things to do when you're looking to buy a used camera. So number 5, read up. Read everything you can. Absolutely everything. Reading as your friend, reviews, common issues. Once a camera's been on the market for several years, there's a lot of reviews and there's going to be a lot of information out there for them. Between YouTube, written reviews, customer complaints, everything like that is going to be your best friend in this case. You'll be able to look up at common issues, common problems that these cameras have, things to look out for, how user-friendly it is, what a realistic amount of shutter count is before it dies, and then you'll also be able to get a good price range on what you should be looking for in that area. Full-frame cameras are extremely expensive to get into to start with, but if you're looking at the used markets, you can pick up used bodies on the last generation model and before that for significantly cheaper than a brand new model. But you still want to read up on those. Some of those full-frame cameras have their issues, some of the crop sensor cameras have their issues, whether it's focusing issues, shutter issues, colors coming out distorted, white balance not being seen right, the motors inside of them failing. All those things are really important to research and read up on, and the internet is going to be your best friend in all of those cases so that you make sure that you don't buy a lemon. So number 5 is to read up online and figure out what camera would suit you. So number 4 is rent the camera. If you find a camera that it's got really good reviews, it has not very many customer complaints, definitely see if you can find a local camera shop or even one online that will rent one to you. I would look into renting the camera and kind of getting a feel for it before you actually purchase it. Renting is something that is amazing because it allows you to get the camera in your hands and physically use it in a shoot to see if it's suitable for your needs. Whether the LCD screen is large enough for you, the memory capacity is good enough for you, if it's clear and sharp and all of those things, so that the camera is going to do the best amount of work it can for you for what you want to use it for. So if you want to do landscape photography, go on a hike, go take some pictures, see if they come out the way you want them to come out. If you're going to do portrait photography, set one up with a family member or a model or a client, offer a free shoot to try to kind of get the hang of the camera and see if it works in the conditions you're wanting it to work in. You can also rent lenses that way. So if you're looking at a camera combination that comes with some lenses, feel free to rent those. Spend a little bit of money instead of a lot of money on something that you might not like. There was a camera that I rented, I think it was the D7000. It was a pretty reasonable camera. I liked it, but it didn't have all the features I wanted. The LCD screen wasn't big enough, and that's why I ended up getting the D5100 over the D7000. It also had a lower megapixel count than the D5100, and I wasn't quite getting the sharpness on the photos that I wanted or that I was looking for. So number 4 is rent the camera before you buy it. Number 3 is get a shutter count. Any reputable seller online is going to provide a shutter count for you. A lot of the modern cameras will give you a shutter count of about 100,000 before they start to fail. My D5100 is pretty close to that, and it's starting to get to the point now where the shutter's slowing down. We're actually going to do a video on that this weekend while I'm up in the mountains camping, because while you're watching this I am camping. But we're going to do a video on that. I'm going to try to repurpose it as a long exposure camera, so keep your eyes out for that. But your shutter count is extremely important. You don't want to spend a decent chunk of change on a camera that's almost to the end of its life or even past its end of its life or past its prime. Like I've said in other videos, most DSLRs that are purchased, especially in the D3500s and the D5000s, they're consumer grade cameras. A lot of people buy them for a vacation, or they buy them for their kid for Christmas or something along those lines. It never really gets used. You can get really low shutter count cameras that have barely been touched for extremely low prices. And that's really, really, really amazing that you can pick up something with a 5,000 shutter count out of 100,000 for like $200 or $300. So that's definitely something to look into. Definitely ask your seller to provide a shutter count for you, whether you're doing it in person or you're doing it online. Any reputable seller is going to provide that to you, especially if you're going through a camera shop or one of those forum pages where you can buy and sell used gear. So number 3 is to check the shutter count. Number 2 is look what is available in your area. A lot of times if you get on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, you can find a lot of really good deals in your local area. I always check the local classifieds before I jump on eBay or even Amazon. Check the local classified to kind of see what is in my area. A lot of the times I find really, really good deals at local pawn shops, or I find them on Facebook Marketplace. Again, it's a camera that they bought for their kid for their birthday or Christmas, or they bought for a vacation, they used it once, and they really don't use it anymore and they're cleaning up. Garage sales are also a really, really good place to look, and flea markets. You can't always get the shutter count if you go that route, but I found some killer deals on some film cameras that way. I think I found a 4x5 camera for like 50 bucks. I didn't end up buying it because I didn't have the funds available, but if I did, I would have bought it in a heartbeat. I should have put it on my credit card, now that I think about it. Well, that's the one that got away. Number 2 is to check the availability around you, because there's a lot of good deals that could be close to you and you won't have to pay the shipping prices or anything like that comes on the forums, the online shops, or on eBay. And number 1 is consider refurbished. A refurbished camera is something that's sent into the factory or sent back to Amazon. It goes to the factory, they take it completely apart and rebuild it with new parts. So the body itself is used, some of the electronics are used, but everything else is replaced. It's basically a new camera at a fraction of the price. Now granted, a refurbished camera is more expensive than a straight used camera, but a lot of times they come with the factory warranty if the factory is the one that refurbished it. Nikon has a really good refurbishment system set up, as does Canon and Sony and Olympus, so definitely look into refurbished cameras. It's a little more expensive than buying a used camera, but it's significantly cheaper than buying a new camera, and the price point matches that. It's right in the middle between those two, but you're getting a camera that has an extremely, extremely low shutter count. Mostly it's just a shutter count of them testing it to make sure that everything works after they reassembled it, and you're getting basically a new camera with an older body. So definitely look into refurbished for Nikon, Canon, Olympus, or Sony. They all have really good refurbishment programs. And a bonus, you guys. So the bonus I'm going to give you today is when you look used, you can usually find better packages. So a lot of times when you buy online, you get, your body, you get a kit lens, and you get a kit lens if you're buying brand new. Sometimes you're ordering just the body alone. But when you find someone who's not photographing anymore and they're just trying to clear some space, or they just got a new setup and they got some new lenses with it, a lot of the times they will sell you the camera, a nice bag, and some lenses, like halfway decent lenses, sometimes really good lenses, in that really cheap used price, because you're buying the lenses used, you're buying the bag used, and you're buying the camera used, so you usually get a really good price on it. Now the D5300, which I'm using to video this, and I will link my video all about that right there, came with that Amazon Basics bag that I showed off in the other video, which I will link right there, as well as a 35mm lens and a 18 to 85 kit lens, as well as like 3 Nikon batteries, which are 50 bucks a piece, and 2 chargers. So definitely keep your eye out for deals like that. When people get rid of stuff and they clear out space and maybe they're trying a new hobby or something like that, the used market really, really, really opens up, because you can get these significant deals where you're gonna get 1, 2 really good lenses, some batteries, everything you need to really, really jump in and get started for that cheap used price. So I want to thank you guys again so much for joining me for this video. Next week we should be doing the D5100 long exposure. We're going to give it a try. We'll see how it works out. If I fail, we'll still have a video on it. So thank you guys again so much for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell notification so you know as soon as I upload. I upload every single Sunday at 6:30 a.m. my time. And if you enjoyed the video, please share it, because at 500 subscribers, we're at about 215 right now. At 500 subscribers, we're at 215 right now. I'm going to give away this Jolly Look camera. So thank you guys again so much. You have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.